So this is episode 2 of Oluswole, the podcast on a budget. Before we get into the episode, as of right now, I think we dropped our first episode 2 hours ago, and y'all are really going crazy. I want to give a big thank you to all the listeners and people who have supported on social media, reaching out to me, reposting on their stories, or just tuning into the podcast. Like, that means a lot. You really don't have to do that, and you went out of your way to show appreciation. So I really respect that, and it helps the podcast grow. And I really appreciate your efforts. Also, shout out to my guy Jackson for helping create the cover arts and the artwork for the YouTube banner, as well as the profile picture on the social media page. He helped with the design, so just shout out to him. I'm excited to welcome our guest, who is a future prime minister, TV show enthusiast, certified Star Wars geek. Lotfi, what's good?
Great intro. Hi Timmy, how are you? First of all, thank you so much for having me. Pleasure to be your second guest on the podcast. I just want to say congratulations on the success. As you said earlier, it's blowing up. The launch is going very well. Very excited for the future. So congrats, bro. This is a great thing, and it's going to blow up even more now that you have me on. So you must be very.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thanks. And
Yeah,
yeah, hopefully this episode goes crazier than the first one. I
I
will
know.
see.
Actually, Dami posted on her story saying the best guest that Timmy will ever have, and I replied saying the second best guest.
I replied saying that's questionable because you never know. We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
we know now.
we'll see. Don't get carried away, dog. Don't get carried away. So, we just to provide a bit of context to the listener, we've been best friends since year five, which is the equivalent to fourth grade. So we met 2011. We just joined. We were both new students at a brand new school, and we were in the same homeroom slash form class. So yeah, we just kind of met each other, became friends from there. From that point on, been friends for
5LS.
like, huh?
5LS.
Yeah, 5LS gang. You know the vibes. Come
Yeah.
on.
How it started, how it's going.
Yeah. We've been friends for like what, 9.5 years or
Yeah,
so.
yes, 9.5. It'll be 10 in September, hopefully.
Yeah. So that's like more than half our, about half our lives. About.
Yeah, I remember. I think you remember back in year five, I had like a club called like MI5. I think the first time I spoke to you, didn't we recruit you to be our spy or something?
Yeah. I remember that.
Uh,
Yeah.
did you join? I don't. I don't
I,
remember.
no, I joined. To be part of a
Yeah,
secret society in fourth grade or year five is definitely the move. And I was trying to make
I
friends.
know.
So
The most exciting thing you could do back then.
exactly. Yeah. Year five was a movie though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
It was a whole film, a whole documentary.
Cancun.
Cancun, you know the vibes. But I just wanted to ask, right? I'm not trying to make this podcast about me because obviously you're the guest and I want to learn more about you, even though I know a lot about you already. But when you met me for the first time, what were your first impressions, if you had any, or if you can remember?
Well, I mean, the podcast, I guess, is about you, right? Because it's called Oluswole, which, for those of you who don't know, is a. Can I reveal the secret of where the name comes from?
Don't reveal the actual name that it comes from, but you can
Okay,
reveal
okay.
you can
I
reveal
guess.
but you can reveal the origin story.
Um, okay. I don't know what you mean by that, so I'll just skip over what I said.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
honestly I don't remember what I thought when I first met you. I just I remember the story I just told about wanting you to be our spy. I mean, you must have had characteristics that would have made me think you're a good spy. Very quiet. People used to back then. People used to joke about how you're a robot. Remember, because they thought you never smiled. They used to come up and ask me when we were good friends. They were like, "Have you ever seen Timmy smile?" And I was like, "Yes." He has a very nice smile. He's like Kanye West. You know how he never smiles, but when he does, it's like very nice.
Yeah, it's a
So,
good analogy.
fine. So, other than that, I don't remember much about year five. Because I think I was better friends with. Remember Ahmed Abu Rosa,
Yeah, I remember
the
him.
guy back then? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't remember much of you from year five, to be honest. But I mean, I remember liking you, I guess, because we were friends. So sorry.
No, it's cool. It's cool. Year five was a fever dream, so a little hard to remember. But I wanted to see. It's kind of hard. I was talking about this with Dami, right? I
Mm,
already know a lot. When you already know a lot about the person you bring on your podcast, it's kind of hard to, think of things to talk about because,
yeah.
you already know a lot about them already. But, I wanted to ask about culture, So for people who don't know, Lotfi is Algerian, right? And Algeria, that's in North Africa, right? If you come up to Lotfi and you
Correct.
call him Arab, he'll be like, "I'm not Arab, I'm Berber," right?
Correct.
Because Berber is an ethnic group, and
Mm,
it's an ethnic group found in I think most populations are concentrated in North Africa, and there are a
yeah.
few in West Africa. I saw that on
Correct.
Wikipedia, so I did my
Lovely.
research.
You've done
Yeah,
your preparation
I have
during my research. Remember
did my research.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I wanted to ask you, tell us a bit about Berber culture and what that has meant to you throughout your life.
Okay. So as Timmy will tell you, I'm Berber. So the backstory is there were kind of remnants of the Ottoman Empire who were kind of pre-Arab inhabitants of the kind of North Africa region. So Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, I think North Chad as well. And we kind of reach into a little Niger in terms of our language. But I mean, in terms of what the culture is meant to be, I mean, we have very nice Berber artwork in our house, if that counts. But I don't know. I mean, I've kind of always kind of been like a third culture kid. I guess that's what they call them, right? When you're originally from somewhere and you grow up somewhere else, then you live somewhere else. But we've always done the cultural traditions, couscous Fridays, as you call them. Every Friday you have couscous, very North African tradition. But yeah, I mean, it's a good question in that I can't answer it. But yeah, it's mostly. I mean, culturally, we don't have any kind of distinctly significant norms. I mean, I guess if you go to Algeria when you have a family wedding, kind of have a Berberized wedding, Berber dresses and whatnot. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, in terms of growing up, I don't think it's affected me that much.
Mm.
But it's pretty cool. I mean, it'd be cooler if people knew what it was, but if they tune into this incredibly popular podcast, then I'm sure they will.
Yes, sir. Um, is there, because I know you speak French and you speak Algerian, Arabic,
Mm.
but is there a Berber language, isn't there?
There is a Berber language. I
Okay.
don't speak it. My mum does not speak it. My dad does because his parents spoke it, and
Okay.
it's kind of a dying dead language, I guess.
How does it sound? Like, is it a mixture of certain other languages, or like, how would you describe that to the listener?
Very it it kind of gives me like Turkish vibes, which I guess makes sense, right? Because Ottoman Empire kind of encompassed the region, but very different to anything they would have heard. A lot of A's and Z's and R's. Um, so yeah, that's the description.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I want to link that to growing up bilingual because um, that's a
Trilingual.
try. Oh yeah, 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 true,
Yeah.
true, true. Yeah, but that's because a lot of Americans grow up only speaking one language, even if their parents are from somewhere else, right? And I just wanted to. I remember you told me that when you were a little kid, there was a rule where also because you were living in London, right? So you were
Yeah.
obviously interacting in English with your peers and people outside of your family, but at home, was it only French that you spoke,
Well,
or is
only
it
French and Algerian Arabic. I mean, I guess
okay?
the two are mixed in. Algerian Arabic has a lot of French within it. So you learn one, you kind of learn the other one automatically.
Uh huh. Okay. My question is, when you were kind of code switching between those different environments, was it hard for you as a little kid, or did it just kind of come naturally?
Yes, actually, I have a funny story to tell. When there was a time in 2006 where we lived in Oman, but only for 3 months because it was just like a temporary moving thing. And before that, we'd been in Algeria for a month. And because I hadn't been in the UK for a while, I kind of lost my English. So I remember we did an interview at the British School of Muscat, which is where I studied, and the teacher was talking to me, and my parents told me I turned to them, and in Arabic I was like, what did he just say? Because I couldn't understand the most basic English. So I guess at times it is quite difficult to become fully fluent in one of the languages, right? And I remember if you think back to year six, year seven, year eight, when a teacher or someone would use a kind of advanced piece of vocabulary, a lot of times I'd turn to you and I'd be like, what does that mean? Right? Like I'd ask you a lot about certain words. Not
Yeah.
that much because they're still fluent in English. But there were certain words I'll be like, what does that mean? And you'll be like, oh, it's this, it's this. And then the same thing when I go back to Algeria, sometimes I'll be like, well, what's that? So I guess it does make it a little more difficult to become fully fluent in one language, especially when you're growing up young and you're speaking a language at home and then another language when you're outside of the house. But now at this stage, when I'm 18, it's nice. I think it's nice to be trilingual because I mean, in my case, none of my extended family really speaks English, so it's not much of a choice if I want to interact with them. But yeah, it's pretty cool, and I speak a bit of Mandarin too, as do you. Um, I can have it. Actually, when I went to uni, there was a Chinese guy there, and his English wasn't very good. So I spoke to him in Mandarin, and he was very impressed. So we'll call it three and a half lingual, maybe. But yeah, it's
That's a generous half, dog. That's a generous
yeah,
half.
that is a generous half. And it's cool, although I would say tricky when you're young.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting because I mean I only speak English fluently. I mean I know a bit of Mandarin from doing A level Mandarin, and I can speak.
And
I can
a bit of yo-yo.
yeah, a bit of. I mean, I understand a bit of Yoruba, but I don't speak it. Like it was never. We always spoke English in the house, so
Hmm. It can't
I
roll
we're not gonna make this a Yoruba pronunciation session. I'm not even the
because I
best
wouldn't
person
be
to.
very well with it.
No, it's more because I'm not even the best person to teach you about the
Yeah,
intonations because
true.
I'm not a fluent speaker of the language. So yeah, yeah, it's an interesting scenarios you brought up there. I wanted to transition to like being a creative. So if you go on YouTube and you dig deep into the archives, you can find a video of you can
No
find a
way.
you can
No
find a
way you're doing this. What's
That's
happening
not
this interview?
that's not the main focus though. If you dig
Okay,
deep
good.
into the YouTube archives, floating around somewhere in the web, there's a video of a 10-year-old Lotfi making a video about his top 10 DC superheroes, and it's kind of
Right.
funny to watch. It might
The
not be
top
there
10 favorite.
anymore. I don't know
I
if it's
don't
still
think
there.
um although I don't know what the name of the channel was, so and I've tried to search for it in the past, but I yeah,
Yeah, if you can't find chances are the listener can't find it too. So
yeah.
you don't
Well,
have to.
hopefully. I'm sure
Hopefully,
a lot of people are going to be searching for it after this.
yeah, it's just more popularity. Go crazy.
Of course.
You could go viral. Be the next 10-year-old sensation.
I'll be the next Oluswole.
Next Oluswole, yeah. Oluswole walks so you could run.
Of course.
But and then more recently, when you're probably around 17, 18, you're still 18 now, but you're talking about maybe starting a political blog
Well,
or of some sorts.
mhm.
So I just wanted to ask, are you still interested in getting into the creative space? And if so, how would you go about doing that?
Um, I am interested in entering the creative space. Not so much videos about my top 10 DC superheroes anymore. And I'm pretty sure you're the only person who's ever watched that video. Although I did show it to Yassine as well, because he was also a DC fan back in the day, and he
Yeah.
told me that he approved of my collection of the 10, which which I was glad to hear. But that's a good question. I guess there are certain publications where there are areas to submit an opinion editorial, an op-ed. So my idea, I guess, and I'm sure it's something I want to start looking into more intensely when I'm kind of done with this year of uni, because I have quite a long summer and I don't think I'll be doing much traveling for obvious reasons. So I would imagine trying to write certain opinion editorials with political undertones, and then when I have kind of an established name, maybe moving to like my own page on Medium, where you publish your own writing and have kind of some of my publications there, and then eventually maybe turn that into a blog. Then you can add. I'm telling everyone my very intelligent business plan, and I'm sure someone's going to take it because it's very smart. Um, so and then have a website, but I'm sure I will tap Jackson, the main man of artistry, to design of certain publications there of things that I've written about, and then we can have some Google ads and like an ad free paid section, like that's what the kids are doing these days, like £1.99 a month, no ads. So that's kind of the
Oh,
rough plan, but
okay.
no definitive plan for now, but definitely something I want to look into in the future. As you know, I'm very politically interested and I like writing, so I guess the combination of the two.
Yeah, yeah. Like that makes a lot of sense for you, especially as someone who, enjoys writing, like you said, someone who's into politics, someone who's done debate in high school, all that.
Right.
Uh, I'm sure
I
when
love
you
how
told
you're
people,
fixing my resume for the people.
yeah, 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 I'm giving you a LinkedIn shout out.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, if you
I'll
ever,
put the link to this YouTube video on my LinkedIn so employers
exactly.
can come watch.
You can put the DC superhero YouTube link as well. Two for one.
If anyone can find it, or I think for now, when people find it.
Yeah, any listeners, y'all can find that video. Um,
ten
I will be
dollar
very
prize.
happy. Who's that money coming from? Is it me or you? It's not.
It's not coming from me. I didn't want anyone to know.
It's not coming from me. I didn't announce the prize, so it's not coming from me, dog.
I'll give you $10 then to the viewer.
Nah, nah. If you find the video though, I will be grateful for your hard
You will
work.
give them a shout out in a future video.
Yeah, yeah, I'll give them a shout out because that's hard work and dedication. That's like going through the dark depths of the internet to find something. Like respect.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, when you're studying law, and I know that I was gonna say that this entering that kind of creative space makes sense for you as someone who has always been interested in that kind of argumentative kind of stuff. You're studying law, which also complements that, and I'm sure when you told people you're going to be a lawyer, people weren't surprised. They
Yeah.
kind of expected you to go into that kind of space. So how
Mhm.
did you always know that you were going to be interested in something like law? I'm not trying to make this podcast episode too, focus on academia, but
Yeah.
it's just a
Yeah,
decent
sure.
talking point.
Honestly, as much as they advise against this, the first time, I mean, I kind of wanted to do law from the TV show Suits, but not ever because I thought it would be like the show. But after watching Suits, which my brother urged me to watch a few years ago, I was like, ooh, law as a career path. It's not something I'd ever thought of at the time. And simultaneously, at the same time, I was starting to get into debating. We did the golf debates Dubai competition together, and we also did the NYU competition those days, and we were in the debate society. And I've always been, quite not in a bad way, but argumentative, I guess, positively argumentative, if that's a term. So I've always been kind of interested in a clash of ideas. So after Suits had kind of given me the idea and given the kind of activities I was doing back then, it just kind of seemed like a natural thing to aim to. And I think come year 11, which is grade 10 for the Americans, um, that it just kind of seemed like the path I knew I wanted to go into. It's not something I ever kind of second guessed or thought of twice. It was just like this is the way.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of had a similar for my career path. Well, career. I don't have a career yet, but for how I decided on my
You
major,
now, professional podcaster.
yeah, I'm a podcaster. I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, damn, I'm really a podcaster, like officially. But linking to what you said, like, yeah, just kind of, I always knew I was interested in business, and it kind of came from camera shot, which I'll get into. It was just Camera Shot is a weekly newspaper that we created in year six,
Right.
aka
Yeah.
fifth grade. We ran it
Yeah.
for 4 years, so year six to year nine, fifth grade to eighth grade, and it was basically just we were just making it ourselves. It wasn't a school newspaper. It was just our own independent thing that we were creating ourselves, printing, stapling, distributing it to people every week. And it is I didn't really realize that at that time because I was 10, but I like the idea of creating some sort of product. I think that's why I'm doing this podcast as well. I like the idea of like creating a product and then marketing it to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So
Actually,
that's how, yeah.
and I guess it kind of also links back to what you were saying about the creativity thing for me. I also think Camera Shot was a big influence in terms of just wanting to work on a project and then kind of having that gleeful response once it's complete and you actually see your end result in your hands or on your
Yeah.
screen in your case.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the same feeling I got from doing Camera Shot. Um, but speaking of Camera Shot, right? Camera Shot, if y'all weren't there when we were making Camera Shot, y'all missed out. I'm sorry. That
That's true.
was that was like the word on the street, like Camera Shot was the publication. We were really out there. Some young troopers. I
True.
want to ask I want to ask you, like, do you have any memorable experiences from creating that newspaper?
Yes. Well, first of all, a shout out to Natalie, who was our biggest fan. Hopefully she'll be watching this, or
Yeah, shout out to
listening.
her.
She was our biggest fan. I think she has a collection of them at home.
Yeah.
I remember when we first discussed the idea, I was very excited about it. And I guess when I think back to it, the memory that always comes to mind is when our class was lined outside the music class, and we'd give them out there, either there or computer science, or sometimes drama. I don't know why, but in my head, those are the three places I think of. I guess the memorable experience would be, you remember on our I almost said on our 3 year,
You almost got caught in 4K, dog.
yeah, on our, was it 3 year anniversary that we did the donuts, or 4 year anniversary?
Um.
Like we were married.
Ooh. Ooh. It was
Um,
I. It was 3 or 4. 3 or 4. One of those
in
two.
one of our anniversaries, what we did is we brought donuts into school, and we were giving out donuts with a copy of the newspaper to celebrate. It was October 4th or 3rd, if I'm not mistaken,
October
right?
20th.
Oh
October
shit.
20th. Yeah.
October 20th. I guess you can see who was the serious one of the business. So I remember that day, and we bought in way too much donuts. We had like you had like 3 boxes. I had 2 boxes. I think I had told you the night before that I'm not going to bring any. But then in the morning, my dad bought me some. That's why we had an
Yeah.
excess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
6 years on. But we were giving them out, and then we saw as the day progressed or the break time progressed, no one was actually really interested in the newspaper. They just came for the donuts. So it showed the limitations of our fan base. To the few real ones, yeah, they had a great time, and it was fun doing it. We'd have the face of the what was it, the facial hair of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Timmy used to draw a bunch of different like cartoon people with like different like weird facial hair, weird beards, and then you take a photo of one, and in every single edition, I think this was a later edition after 1 or 2 years, as a facial hair of the week at the end. But we'd make a crossword from scratch, and Timmy would write the news section. We'd get comics from Go Comics,
Go Comics. Shout out to them. Yeah.
which Timmy was
Yeah.
a the day. But yeah, I mean, ev when I think back to it, I think it kind of correlates with what you were saying about the fact that we wanted to do something, we did something. It's just fond memories all around of the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I also have very fond memories, and like you said, we usually give it out. I think it's because it's kind of. I think it's because our class, because we had compass groups, right, and that basically means for non-academic subjects. So for subjects that were not math, English, and sciences, we were just put in these groups to put it simply, right? And they're randomly assigned. They're not assigned based on ability. So one of those classes were computer science or ICT or whatever you want to call it, and it just made sense to give people the newspapers at that time because they could
I
easily,
think they called it computing back then, right? In like year eight-ish.
I don't know what they
Remember
called it. They called it something.
with Carl Bartley, you remember him?
Oh yeah. I remember him. I remember him. Yeah,
He was a good guy, in case he's watching this.
yeah, yeah. So I wanted to transition to um, your day to day life. As in, I've seen you. We've seen the photos. We've seen you putting in work in the gym. We've seen you putting in work.
Ah, yes,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I
You were
don't,
you were shocked for a
I don't know
second. You
what
were like,
photos you're talking about, but
yeah. So I'm wondering, like, what was the reason why you started working out?
um, well, I guess for 18 years, I mean, I'm 18, so for 18 years of my life, I've always been overweight, in terms of the statistics, if you will. But because yeah, I was born, I was born an abnormally large baby.
How much
My
were you?
mom
Ten
had to have,
pounds?
I was 4.5 kilograms, so that's a little more than 10 pounds, I believe. Um, yeah, I think it might be like 10 point something. So
Yeah.
my mom had to have a C-section because I was too big. And from as much as I can remember, I've been overweight. I think the thought was just like, if not now, when? And I guess the silver linings of the pandemic is that we're at home, and especially, lucky to be here in the UAE, there are kind of few restrictions, so we can go to the gym. It's obviously very close, it's proximal, it's free. So I'm just like, why not? And I always thought that when I went to London to uni, I was going to lose weight then. And the statistics show the opposite, by by a hefty margin. So I thought then I'd always be walking, I wouldn't cook much, but spent, the time I thought I'd spend walking, I spent cooking, experimenting with various things. So, and it didn't turn out that well. But I guess while I've been here, I was just like, this is the time, and I've lost 6 kilograms so far in the last month or so.
Talk to him.
And
Talk to him.
uh, yeah, of course. And yeah, we're continuing down the weight loss road. But yeah, I've never really had any weight issues. I've never been, unhealthily overweight, or at least I wouldn't say so. I'm sure maybe some people would. Um, and it's never been something that's bothered me per se. Like I was never really insecure about my weight, but it's just, if now that I have the time, I'm at home, there's nothing else to do. It's like, why not?
Mm, I
Mm,
feel that. Yeah, because at some
yeah.
point, if you have a goal, or something you want to accomplish, you just kind of have to get past that mental block, which is having it in the mind, but like going from having it in your mind to actually putting it into action, and putting it into fruition. Like that's the
Yeah.
hard part.
And
That
also, I
was
guess the realization that like I'm getting old now, that uni, and then in 2 years, graduate uni, get a job, hopefully, then get married, settle down, blah blah blah. And usually, when people are married and are settling down in their late 30s, early 40s, they kind of stop caring about their weight, and they're like, oh, if I'm overweight, who cares? Because in my youth, because my dad is also, we always make jokes about each other, and he was like, yeah, but when I was your age, I didn't look like that. And I was like, fair enough. So I guess in one's youth is the time more so to be in a physically good shape, and then as you get older, it starts to fall off. But I don't want to go my whole life without having the experience of what it is to be a normal weight.
Yeah, I think also you said that once you get to that age where you're settling down and stuff like that, you stop caring. I think it's
Yeah,
also from a biological, there are also biological factors that go into that. I think it's just harder to lose weight when
yeah.
you're older. You just naturally put on weight
You have
easily.
less time, right? Because you have a 9 to 5 job, play with the kids on the weekend, take the wife out to dinner or
Yeah,
whatnot. You don't have much time to get into shape. And
yeah.
now, without the pandemic, I would have more time, but with it comes the perfect scenario, I think. Not
Mm.
to say that the pandemic is good, of course. Um,
Yeah.
but it has its moments.
Yeah, I get you. I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, our gym just reopened. I don't know if I'll go for a while though. I think I'll just be chilling. I don't think I'll go to the gym. But
You
you
don't
you
need
mentioned,
to. You're in perfect shape.
yeah, I'm trying to be a bit more active. I think
I
I
mean,
have been
as
just
the name suggests, you are swole, are you not?
really swole. Come on. But I've
Indeed.
been being out here. I've been trying to be a bit more active, and I think I kind of had to be because when I was at home for the first semester, I was just kind of chilling in my house.
Yeah.
But now I have to. If I don't go out of my room, if I don't walk, I'll pretty much die. Like I have to get food. I have to
Yeah.
buy things for my room. So it kind of forced me to be a bit more active. And I just wanted to transition to London because you were born out there and you go
Mhm.
to school over there. What's
Yeah.
it like just living in London? Because it's one of the most. I really like those vibrant cities like London, New York. I've never been to Shanghai, but I feel like Shanghai would be one of those kind of cities for me. How is it like living in such a melting pot of cultures and
Um, I mean, I love living there. Otherwise, obviously, I wouldn't have chosen to go there. So I love London, as I'm sure anyone who's been there does. And it is, as they say, the best capital. And I mean, I guess, you said like London and New York. So to contrast it, I think where London is, because New York's very metropolitan, but London's this like lovely mix of metropolitan, old kind of historic Roman architecture, lots of greenery, although I guess in New York they have Central Park, but we have lots of greenery all around, and then the River Thames spiraling in the middle of central London. So it's such like a nice mix of environments. You have like a bit of everything. Like if you want some quiet time with the nature, you go to the park. If you want to see some historical sites, you just walk anywhere, but then they're kind of integrated with these big metropolitan buildings. So it's great. Loads of lovely people. Everything's really compact, and there's a really big walking culture there. Like you just because I live in Zone One Central, so you just kind of walk anywhere, and you can be anywhere. And all these huge, like the London Eye is just a view from my house. It's just like 1 minute away, and you have all these huge, very well-known landmarks that are so proximal to you. So it's quite cool. Like I remember on the first day I got there and I went out, I just walked for 20 minutes. Then I found myself at Oxford Street and I was like, damn, didn't know it was so close. So it's nice because everything's right next to you. There's so much to do all the time, and it looks lovely and the weather's great.
that's cool. Yeah, the walking point, I definitely like that because and it kind of inspires you. You see people jogging and being
Yeah.
active outside. It kind of adds energy to the city.
Yeah, and I guess what you also said about at university, if you don't leave the house, you die. So
Yeah,
when you go out to get supplies, you kind of get carried away and take a walk.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
And obviously, when you were in London last year in 2020, you're doing a lot of cooking because you were living on your own, and you like your culinary stuff. You watch a bit of Gordon Ramsay, Master Chef. You
Yeah.
like to leave food reviews on Zomato
Ah, yes.
for certain
More
restaurants.
exposition of all of all
Yeah,
of the past endeavors. Correct.
exactly. So I want to ask, are you like, do you see yourself doing anything significant in like the culinary arts space, or is that just a hobby?
I mean, significant in terms of the quality of the product for sure. Significant, significant in terms of I mean, there were times when I was young that I wanted to be a chef, but I mean, I love cooking, but I love it because I've always found it very like therapeutic, calming. There are so many things you can do. Like if you want to go into a career that involves the culinary arts, as you so lovelyly put it, lovelily. Anyway, if you go into a career, there's all the added stress, the time constraints working in a restaurant. So it's not necessarily something I'd want to do commercially. It's a lot more of a personal hobby and something I just do when I'm bored or when I'm feeling adventurous in terms of wanting to try something, or just, when I need to rest. And it's just something that's very calming, very fun to do, but I doubt it's something I'll pursue professionally, although I would love to have a lot of like dinner parties, when I'm older. And like, you know what a dinner party is? I think it's a very American thing where you just have people over for dinner. Um, I
Yeah.
mean, I know Americans call it a dinner
No, no,
party. I don't think.
no, I'm just saying, like, yeah, I know what it is. I mean, you know,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Good to know. But I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure I have loads of those and try to have different circumstances where I can cook for people, but not necessarily in terms of a career.
Okay, so more of a hobby. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you can, cause I remember last, well, uh, you called them terms in the UK, but I remember last semester. I remember a lot of you guys, a lot of people from our school go to school in the UK, and I would see snaps of people cooking on their story, and it's just like the same pasta dish like every single day. But you had some good stuff. Like
Cool.
you were
Yeah.
showing out. Yeah,
Yeah, you know how it is, as you
yeah,
say. But
exactly.
yeah, yeah, I have a bunch of photos of everything I've cooked. If anyone wants to hit me up after listening to this, from
Yeah.
their intrigue and the desire to learn.
Do you have a go-to meal that you like resorted to at home when you were there?
I made a lot of curries there. I don't know particularly why, but it's just something very. I mean, people will be surprised. It's something very easy to make. And I love Indian food, so I guess I also obviously made a lot of pasta, but always something else with pasta. So but in terms of something recurring that I had over and over, I'd probably say curry.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, big fan
Indian
of
food
Indian
is
food.
definitely a move.
Yeah,
Shout out. What's that place in Eastern Mangrove? Peppermill.
peppermill,
Yeah, it's
peppermill. Yeah,
Peppermill's.
yeah, yeah.
It's yeah. Shout out to them. They're
Yeah, but
good.
remember we went there and they had like super slow service and we got really annoyed.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
in general, I mean, that place is a good exception. I find westernized Indian food not particularly good. And I think a lot of commercial Indian restaurants are serving a lot of westernized Indian food, where they kind of have like this sweet, bland curry that's not spicy, which is not the move at all.
of course.
Um, yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, I get
definitely
what you.
prefer myself with the authenticity.
Yeah, the authenticity point is a great point because I think it doesn't just apply to Indian food. It also applies to just non-Western cuisines
Mm,
that
yeah.
are not they always taste better when they come from the people who have made it
Yeah.
instead
I mean,
of a
also,
commercialized kind of product.
and also, I think aside from the commercial point, it's also a class thing because obviously in India, a lot of the food is kind of made not like you wouldn't expect to see a lot of the traditional cuisine in like these high-end five-star restaurants. It's definitely something a lot more common, something that everyone eats. Whereas if you look at very high-end cuisines, I mean, French comes to mind, where they have all these super complex culinary techniques. That's the type of thing where the best French cuisine is something you'd find in like a five-star French restaurant. Whereas the best Indian cuisine, like if I went to the streets of India, I'm sure I'd get a much nicer curry than I would if I were to go to a five-star hotel and have it in the UK, for example. So I
Hmm.
think depending on the cuisine, the class thing has an effect.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah,
Podcast has turned into an analysis of class and cuisine.
yeah. Maybe that'll be the episode name. It
Class
probably
and
won't be.
cuisine.
It probably won't be, but we'll see. We'll see. I usually determine the episode name. We were talking about this off the air, but
Yeah,
I re-listen to the podcast as I'm editing the audio file, and then that's how
yeah.
I determine the name based on what we were talking about in the podcast. So maybe it'll
I
be
think I,
food related. We'll see. I don't
Yeah,
know.
or I think dynamic duo would be a good name. Because back in the day, we were known as the dynamic duo
Yes,
in
sir.
our career, if you will.
That is factual. I don't know if that'll be the name though, because I do like to make it
We'll
based
have to
on
wait
the
and see. Yeah.
huh.
Although I think the funny thing is the people watching it already know what the name is. So when they're watching this segment, they're going to be like, "Stop talking about the name. We already know what it is."
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah,
sure, sure, sure.
we're very much so wondering.
True. I mean, in case they want to know about the process, then I'm just letting
Mm,
them know. Yeah, but yeah, they will know the name. That's actually good insight.
yeah.
So yeah, we're getting close to the end of the episode. I on Oluswole, what we like to do
Okay.
is the Oluswole bowl. You know, a bowl like a quiz bowl. So what we do is
Is this a thing?
yeah, the Oluswole bowl.
Okay, I love it. This is
Yeah,
exciting.
clearly you haven't watched all the first episode because we did it. We did
Uh,
it there. Yeah,
I watched them all of it.
I just caught you in 4K. But
Uh,
anyway, I just so we just ask you questions that are completely unrelated to, or maybe somewhat related to what we were talking about, but they're just kind of you can give answers that reflects your opinions. What's one place that you want to go to that you've never been to before, and why?
um, any country in South America because I've never been exposed to that kind of culture before.
I agree. I agree. I want to go to. I've never been to South America. I want to try to go to
Yeah,
Brazil one
like
day.
Peru or Chile or Argentina.
Yeah, I want to. I want to try the food, and
Yeah, it looks good. And it's just because I've never been to North America either, but I think I have a good
okay.
idea of what Western culture is like. And I imagine it's not too different from the UK. But then I've been all over Asia and also Sub-Saharan Africa, I must add. I think the
Oh, you've never been there?
Sub-Saharan Africa, no.
Yeah. Okay.
So Sub-Saharan African landscape, like the savannas, the mountains, I find all that very pretty. So I guess it'd be a tie between Sub-Saharan Africa and South America, both for the same reason, that I've never experienced some kind of cultural thing like that before.
Well, Sub-Saharan Africa, I've obviously been there, Nigeria, South Africa, but
Yeah.
for South America though, I want to try the food. I just feel
Mhm.
like there's just, I feel like Latin food is tasty. It just looks good. I've never really had a
Yeah.
lot of it,
I've
so
never had it. Although in London, there's this street foods next place next to me, and they have a bunch of places from South America. And I went there with a friend. You know how? Yeah, you do. Obviously you do.
of
I was
course.
thinking, I was like, should I say her name? Should I not? But I
I
guess I
mean, you
did.
already name dropped like everybody else, so you might as well.
Oh, Howard, if you're watching, but I think she had something. I don't know if it was Peru or Chile, but she had some kind of South American food and she liked it a lot. And I was meaning to try it before Boris Johnson kicked us out of our country. So it looked good. So my conception of South American food is nice, but I likewise have never tried it.
Yeah, same. Now moving on to the second question, you have a lot of experience making videos about your favorite things. So I wanted to ask you. I know you're a DC guy,
Oh
but I
God.
feel like you're a DC guy, right? When it comes
Mhm.
to superheroes, but I know you do like some Marvel movies, and I know Marvel is when it
Yeah.
comes to the movie space. I think Marvel's popping more than DC is, respectfully.
Uh,
Agree, disagree.
some may say.
I have no
Some may
allegiance.
say.
I have no allegiance. I'm just telling you what I
Hmm.
think, right?
What the culture is saying.
Yeah, with the culture, I'm just a spokesperson for the culture. That's all.
Mm.
So I wanted to ask you, what are the top five greatest MCU movies in your opinion?
I've never, yeah. Anyone watching this who doesn't know me is going to be think I'm such a geek because I mean, well, I kind of am, but because I made the superhero movie, you asked me that, and I think in the bio you said the Star Wars geek or something Star Wars geek,
I
right?
said
At the start.
certified Star Wars geek.
Certified,
Yeah.
yeah. So who certified me? You?
Well, you by the Star Wars Geek organization, you're certified.
Um, okay. I would say number one would be Infinity War because I liked it a lot. Do you want me to explain why each is my favorite, or do you want to just
You
give?
can give a brief sentence. I mean, it's five movies, so
Yeah,
you can. Yeah.
I like the way it was told from the villain's perspective. I thought it was a very compelling narrative and the flip on what one would typically expect from a movie. Um, the second, I'd guess,
The villain.
and
Sorry,
sorry,
the villain is Thanos, right?
Thanos. Yes,
Okay.
correct.
I have watched.
And I thought it was very well written. And I thought it was very entertaining to watch. The second is Endgame. A lot of people kind of say, debate which one's the best between those two, I would say Infinity War. Second, Endgame, also great. Third, Civil War was great. Fourth, let me think. I'm trying to think of all of them. There are 23, I think.
Age of Ultron.
I'm not a fan.
Same.
Oh my God! Remember when we went to the cinema to watch Age of Ultron? And so
Yeah.
what happened for everyone watching is there was I think it was Ryan, right, who booked the
Yeah.
tickets
Yeah.
on.
It was. It was. It
A
was.
lot of people just kind of rocked up without us knowing that they would. So there was a battle with, well, not a battle. There was a conundrum with the tickets and how many tickets there were and whether everyone would get one. And at the end, there was one ticket left, and me and Timmy, the two people who didn't have a ticket. So for 15 minutes, you were like, "No, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it," trying to be very nice. Even though I'm pretty sure we both wanted it, but obviously we had to act like we wanted to give it to the other person. Um, so I ended up getting the ticket because Timmy was very kind enough to say like, "Oh, I know you're much more of a geek. I know this means a lot more to you," so I took it. But this is the story. And we missed like 20 minutes of the movie because we were wrestling over to whom it should be given. But afterwards, we bought you a mug, remember, with Captain
Yeah.
America on it. And we took it to your house as like a gift. Well, when I say we, um, like one person I think paid for it, but it was all our collective idea.
Oh yeah. I know. I know. We
Um,
paid for it. Yeah. I know. We paid for it.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, sorry, that's a side note of the story of Age of Ultron. Third, did I say Civil War third? Okay, and then fourth and fifth. I don't know. I don't. I mean, I think after you trickle down from the top three, all of them are kind of great in their own way. But certain ones I like: Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther, The Winter Soldier, Doctor Strange. Any of those four can be 4 and 5,
Yeah. I
depending
like
on
Black. I like
the
Black
mind.
Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy,
Sure.
and nice.
Did we watch
Yeah.
it? Did we watch it together?
Yeah. Yeah. Black
Okay, cool.
Panther, Civil War is nice. What is it? Guardians of the Galaxy was nice too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
Cool.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2, we did not enjoy, if I remember correctly.
No, I liked it. I liked it. I just didn't enjoy it as much as the first. All right, cool. So yeah, thanks Lotfi for coming on the podcast. It means a
Is
lot.
that it? Honestly, I had the best time. I want to stay longer. I'm not saying that you have to accommodate me longer, but this was great.
Yeah, yeah, it was great. Yeah. But fortunately, I got some stuff to do before
Yeah, of
bringing on
course.
my
So I
next
think I
guest.
interrupted your outro, so you can give it again if you want.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah,
thanks a lot
go
for
for
coming on the pod. It means a lot for you, coming out here
it.
and going out of your way to, show some love on the pod. You showed a lot of love on socials. And Oluswole, available on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. And if you're watching this on YouTube, our socials are linked in the
Yeah.
description. Peace.
Yeah, and if you're on YouTube, go do all the good stuff, like, subscribe, and yeah, Timmy, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time, and I would love to be back if you ever want to have me. But everyone, thank you for watching. YouTube, like, subscribe, do all the good things, go watch it everywhere, and get the statistics up.
Yes,
Peace.
sir. Peace.